when I was growing up, I would hear these stories of people who were like really in the life, like they just doing bad things. They were like, this is bad. Probably gonna go to jail. And I heard this story one time. This dude, everybody got locked up, but there was this trap house. In case you're not aware, a trap house is where illicit materials are sold. Sometimes you might say trap house, or there might be someone who's like, so booby traps? Like, is it the trap door situation? Like when you walk in, watch out for the wire, you're gonna fall down to the basement? No, I mean drugs. I mean the buying and selling of drugs. And so this trap house was known for being pretty busy. It had become so busy that they had bought some property, several blocks away, and opened up another trap house. Business was booming. Things are going very well. Whenever you are selling so many drugs that you have to buy property, we are entering documentary territory. Most trap houses are really just dudes playing video games until somebody knocks on the door. Like, it's not a busy day, and you gotta stay at trap house the whole time because you don't know when someone might get the itch. And so they opened up another trap house, but this location was not as poppin' for some reason. They must have opened it in a bad neighborhood. Can you imagine being on drugs, be like, I'm not going over there though, that's dangerous. And so even though they opened another location, and even though they tried to tell people, hey, you can come here or you can go over there, people liked the original trap house. It stayed just as busy as ever, with some business going on at the second location, but mostly it was here, right? And, okay. Let's just call him Jerry, all right? Jerry ran both trap houses. And he did a pretty decent job, kept his books, kept his finances, really, like, he knew his inventory, He could have made a great store manager at any grocery store. There was this dude named Twan, and Twan found out about these very popular trap houses. Well, one popular, one not so popular, right? And he made a plan to rob the trap house, the main one, the lucrative one, right? So his plan for robbing the lucrative trap house was to basically set up a diversion at the one that wasn't as busy. So he basically faked a robbery at the one that was not as busy. He had some guys go over there, bang on the door, act like they had guns, they were about to break in, because he knew it would make everyone call Jerry. Jerry and his boys would go over there. By the time they get there, those guys have already left, and then the main trap house is left defenseless. They break in, Twan and them break in, they steal all this money out of the trap house, right? Take it back to their place. Now their place is a stash house. Stash house should be self-explanatory. If I've lost you at stash house, I cannot help you. But the trap house has been robbed, everything's been taken back to the stash house, okay? And then Twan and his boys thought they had made a killing. They were like, this is great. No one even knows that it was us, because they had planned it very well. They planned it all the way down to the detail of if those guys who did the fake robbery got caught, they wouldn't even know who hired them, right? But Jerry's no fool. Jerry started asking around, and he could kind of tell that some of these guys were lying, some of these guys weren't lying. He traced everything back to Twan. And so he set up a plan to rob Twan's stash house. To go in there and not just get his stuff back, but take the rest of whatever was in there. And his plan wasn't as meticulous. He just sort of ran up in there with a lot of men and guns. Now, what he did do is he waited. He learned the routine. He learned who would be there when. It took months. And then finally, he was like, we're going to do it on Tuesday. They never paying attention on Tuesday. We're going to run up in there. It's only going to be like 5 of them. If it's 15 of us, I don't think we'll meet a lot of resistance. It's not like it's their money. It's Twan's money. And so that's what they did. They broke up in there, went ahead, zip-tied everybody, and took everything, which took several trips. The people at the stash house did have to watch themselves be robbed for quite a while. Man, you over here, you're not gonna get away with this. Then you think they've left, they come back in the door. Left all this right here. And so then one of them, being new to the lifestyle, being a new, some would say prospect gang member, was so appalled at the theft that when he freed himself, lacking all presence of mind, called the police. This man called the police. It was like they ran up in there, they had guns and everything. They had a gun in my hands. He's telling all this to die. What? They took everything. They took the weed. They took all the money. Took my favorite Glock. And, some people were duct taped and everything, duct taped over the mouth, zip tied behind everything. So when, as soon as he called 911, he started freeing everybody else. As soon as he ripped that tape off, they're like, "What is wrong with you? We got to get out of here now." And so then they all left. They all ran up out of there because the police, catching wind that there was a robbery of the stash house, made themselves available immediately. Now, they got out in time not to get caught. They got out in time to see the police raiding the stash house from a few doors down. And that's the thing, is like people say, crime doesn't pay, or like criminals are dumb or whatever, but there are some very smart people who, for whatever reason, enter a certain lifestyle, choose to stay there, or maybe it's all that they know. And if criminals were so dumb, they wouldn't be fascinated. We are fascinated by career criminals. We're fascinated by people who do things that aren't just illegal. They have the gall to try to pull something off that has so many different entry points to danger. Like, just in the past few days, the Louvre was robbed. And I have not been able to settle. This is amazing. Okay, so if you're not familiar with the Louvre or the Louvre or whatever, it's one of the most visited museums in the world, and people go there and then they act like they've been changed by art. And you ask them what they saw, they can't name anything or anybody. They were just like, "No, the Mona Lisa was there, looking unimpressed." Well, there were these robbers that broke in, and they broke in dressed as construction workers, right? They had actually rented this like powerlifting vehicle that had a ladder that would bring them up to the next level. where they could cut in, because they brought tools to cut in through the window and enter that way. They didn't want to just come through the front. And it made sense that they were dressed as construction workers, because the Louvre is under construction. Permanently, I guess. It's always under. Why is Europe never finished? Europe always, all of Europe, always, unless you're out in the country, there's always like, oh, we gonna fix this road. We've been working on it since 1822. But that's y'all's fault. Y'all keep changing the roads. We just, right when we finished the cobblestone, y'all were like, no, it's asphalt now. And so look, they break in, and they break in with these power tools. They had like an angle grinder and everything. And that's when the alarms were going off and stuff. And then they get in through this museum window. And the part of the museum that they're in is where these rare crown jewels are being held, right? They didn't bother with the Mona Lisa. There was a crowd, there's a line. You'd never make it out. People be like, no, I want to see. And people keep, they keep criticizing the security. They keep criticizing the people that were doing security. But those people did approach them. They were like, hey, you don't. you better not. Because what is museum security really supposed to do? Let's be honest. Let's be real. If you work security in any format, they should arm you with as much as it takes to protect what's supposedly valuable. Think about this. When you see someone working for like Brinks, right? And they bring a Brinks truck to do a deposit for a bank. Let's say a whole grocery store is like, hey, we got like $250,000 that we need to transport over to the bank to make our deposit. The bank is like, don't worry, we'll send somebody. They hire Brinks. Brinks comes over. They have a truck, and not just a truck, like a bulletproof truck. And then they get two people. They get two people to make sure nobody knocks you over the head when you're trying to grab the bags and put up at the truck. They get two people, and not just two people, two of the biggest people you've ever seen. Like two people that are so big that it's like, you are the gun, right? And then I think they give them a gun. They always hold in their pocket. Maybe they don't have a gun, but it looks like they have a gun. And they don't give them cuffs because they don't plan on taking any prisoners. And then they get in there, Brinks always handles a drop like they are being robbed. Like they always handle the drop the way a bank robber would handle the drop. Because I used to work at a grocery store, and Brinks would come in and they'd be like, so where is your safe, or where do you, hurry. And we'd be like, oh, it's over here. Okay, it's over here, all right. And then the one would get to work putting, the other one just watching us. I'm ringing people up. I put more money in the till, and they were still like, but you might try anything. I don't know you. And then they would leave, and they'd leave all fast. And then they'd run into the truck, throw everything in the truck, and then they would always peel out a little bit, which made me uncomfortable. One time they came and did a pickup, and I was like, y'all sure that was Brinks? Because they were a little squirrely. But then for some reason, there are times where you're supposed to protect, or you're supposed to hold guard of something, and you're giving less and less resources as you do it. Like, you look at a Brinks security guard, and then you look at like a mall cop. They're like, you get one flashlight. I guess shine it in their eyes or something. If you hit somebody hard enough in the head with it, the glass will break. That's something. But nobody gets done dirtier. Nobody gets done dirtier than museum security. Museum security, not only do they give you nothing, no flashlight, they don't even give you a stapler to hit somebody with. They give you nothing. all they give you is a dress code. They're like, hey, just show up in all black, nobody will mess with you. You show up in a black shirt with a black suit jacket and some black pants and black shoes, people think you John Wick. They won't even approach any of the art. Because truly, what is a museum security guard supposed to do? I go to a lot of museums. I try to go to a museum in every city that I do a show, if I can, right? And I've been in these museums, beautiful art. And then you get a little too close and you see this thing go off, this like little, you don't even know where the alarm is, but like it'll just, that's the too close alarm. Because it's not like a real alarm, it's just annoying, and it's annoying, and it goes off until you back up. So if you're a pointer, I go to a lot of museums with pointers. Everyone I take to a museum love to point. It's like we all three again, and they're like, I like the flap. As soon as you hear, somebody works for the museum, comes over, black everything, with an attitude. Could you not? Ma'am, back up. They love that hair. Back up. Give it a little space. Let the art breathe. And you want to know who a museum security guard's arch nemesis is? Because it's not like a grown man. It's not a grown woman. It is any child. Any child will ruin their day. Because I don't know what it is about the frequency of the alarm, but if you're 4, you can't hear it. If you're 4, you're like. I was at this museum one time. This security guard was in a true predicament because this child was out here touching everything, He was touching it to the point that it sounded like their alarm was going off to the tune of Mary Had a Little Lamb. And finally, the security guard started like chasing his child around, and not like really chasing him, not like Dennis the Menace chasing him, but just like following them around, hoping to maybe this kid's gonna go back up to their parents or something and be like, can you please hold your child's hand or something, because they've been touching everything. Got applesauce on everything. Because as a security guard, what are you gonna do? You can't grab this kid. You can't actually grab this. I know that sounds crazy to anybody who was born in any era before now. You have to kind of let this kid put applesauce on all the art, because if you touch this kid, you've committed murder. So if you snatch this kid and even hold their hand so you can find their parent, you are basically killing them. So you have to like let them kind of do it, but then follow them around, but then not touch them, but then make sure they don't touch anything. It would look terrible. And so finally, this security guard just started running interference on every item. This child was walking up, getting ready to touch a sculpture. Security guard get in there. No. Just trying to box him out of every room. And then finally, his kid, realized what was going on. Felt like it was a game. So this kid is like, oh, you want to play? I love to play. Playing's my favorite thing. Playing's basically my job. And so he running interference. There's a painting. And finally, this kid gets boxed in. And even the security guard's like, I don't know what to do now. Because like, this would be when you would like snatch their hand and be like, hey, is your child not with you in the museum? I might have them. But he was like, doesn't want to touch his kid, but doesn't want the kid to touch anything else, but then is in the corner, but then is also a grown man cornering a child in a corner. Just because you're at work doesn't make it look better. All this kid has to yell is stop, and you going straight to jail. I'm your only witness, and I'm not really here right now. And so this kid boxed it to the corner, and you can see kids having fun. Kids over here. Nowhere to go but under. This kid slipped under his legs and ran away. This man turned around. Started chasing after this kid even more, and then the kid went to the only room he hadn't got applesauce on. And was next to this painting. I don't really remember who painted this, but it was a huge, huge painting of a ship in a storm. And it was one of those that was like, it was a marvel because of its scale. You know, so it's not like one that you just hang up and 6x8, whatever. This thing was huge. It took up almost the entire wall, which meant he could definitely reach it. This kid walked up to the painting, and now the whole thing is a game. Touching the stuff's a game, trying not to get caught is a game. This kid's having fun. He thought museums were boring. He's having the time of his life. This kid standing next to the painting. And admittedly, I was also running after them so I could keep watching. I didn't try to help at all, but I was like, I gotta see the rest of this. Like, what you gonna do? This man gonna run out of breath soon. Security guard gets in the room, huffing and puffing. And he just goes, even the kid for a second was like, "Ooh, are you?" I might have killed a grandpa. I don't even know. And this kid goes in his pocket and lifts an applesauce covered finger. And I was like, it's been in his pocket the whole time. Children are disgusting. This kid been running around with a pocket full of applesauce this entire museum trip. And then Uncle running security goes, don't. This kid, no words, no emotion in his eyes. You can tell he gonna grow up to be a bad person. This kid, applesauce covered finger just went, beep. And so if a security guard is defenseless against a child, what do you expect them to do against actual robbers with angle rods that they just used to break into the second floor window? Because the security ran up on them, no, hey, get out of here, none of that. And then they went, security was like, you know what, let us help you. Everybody out. Everybody out. Everybody get out now. Security made everybody get out but them. Don't you see these men working? Get out. They over here on time crunch. And you over here, ooh, look at the jewels. Get out. In fact, there was a news report that cracked me up. I laughed so hard because the security report, there was this person who, I don't think they were like head of security for the Louvre or anything, but they were basically like, it is museum security's #1 job to make sure the people are safe, and that's what they did. They made sure the people were safe. I was like, you are changing the narrative right now, because anytime I got too close to a painting and I heard the and then I had somebody come over, it didn't seem like it was for my protection. You know what I mean? It wasn't like they were running up, hey, that one, that painting, that wakes up. Don't get close. Please. And so then, robbers start grabbing everything, grabbing these like, no. Napoleon era empire crown jewels, right? They grabbed so much, they grabbed too much. They actually grabbed so much, they dropped one. They dropped one of the crowns outside. And this is gonna sound dumb. This will sound dumb, so bear with me because I know it's gonna sound dumb, but I don't think it's dumb, all right? I thought, truly, even when I went to museums, for as many museums as I go to, I've been to museums in Europe, I go to museums here, I go to every museum that I can. I thought for certain that when you see something in a museum, that under certain circumstances is a replica. I can tell by your reaction that some of y'all think I'm dumb and some of y'all think what I thought. I'm telling you right now, when I would go to the museum, I would admire the brushstrokes, I'd admire everything, but I would be like, this is the fake one though. Like this has to be the fake one. And I thought that because if you remember, right before 2020 and even after the pandemic, you would have activists that would go to museums. These, climate activists would go to museums and they just throw like tomato soup on supposedly priceless paintings, right? They would go up to like a Van Gogh and be like, blah! And then they glue themselves to the wall or something, and then they would be like, this is why we did this. And you will have to listen to me for as long as it takes to unsuperglue my hand from the wall. Because people who are climate activists feel like no one is listening to the point where the only thing that will get any attention or like stop people for a second to listen to them is just extreme acts that knock you out of whack. You know what I mean? Just things that you go, what? What? They did what? Why did they do that? And then they get to explain. It's like the better version of canvassing, because they tried to canvass. They really did. Everyone that cares about the climate tried to canvass, and what did you do? You walk by them. They were like, do you have a minute for the planet? And you're like, I'm headed to work, please. I was with a friend one time, and look, I've stopped plenty of times. I can't stop every time. And so they were like, do you have a minute for the planet? And then my buddy was like, no, we're good, and kept walking, have a good day. And this dude got really bad. This dude canvassed and was like, you on the planet? You don't have a minute for the planet you on? But that was happening a decent amount. There were these supposedly priceless paintings that were getting vandalized, people throwing Campbell's soup on them and everything. So then I was like, surely a museum would not allow Campbell's soup to get thrown on the real one, like the regular one, because the museum was always super chill about it. The museum, they would like throw tomato soup on a Van Gogh and the museum would be like, stuff happens, we gonna get it off. You gonna what? You gonna get it off? Because when I got close, when I tried to smell the painting, I heard, and then you came over, no smelling. Just get it off, no big deal. Or you would see things like I don't know about you, but the tomato soup that I eat got a little oil to it. And you throw it on oil painting, it seems like it might leave a stain. I have no idea. But then you would see the museum come out and be like, no permanent damage was done to the artwork. And I'm like, how? I've dropped suits that were clear on my hoodie before it had the stain forever. How's this 200-year-old acrylic painting fine? It must be a fake. I used to think that, look, if you go to a museum and you see just like you could touch it, that one can't be real. But if you go to a museum and it's behind glass, that's the real one, because they bothered to protect it. Why are you just bothering to protect some pieces? That doesn't make sense to me. So then in my head, I was like, those aren't the jewels. You know what I mean? That's just colored glass. These people so stupid, they ran up in there and risked their freedom for some colored glass. And then the French government came out and said, priceless items have been stolen from the Louvre. And I was like, that's the real jewel. Y'all didn't run any armed security around the real crown jewels? For a split second, I felt like it was my money. I was like, what are y'all doing? Ooh, I need to sit down. You said it was priceless. And then right after saying it was priceless, they were like, it's about $100 million. I was like, oh, seems like a price. You said prices for a day and a half, and then immediately y'all were like, I think 103 probably. At least round up to 110. And then, in my opinion, museum handled it wrong. You know, they were over here freaking out. Everybody, the French government, they got everybody on it. They got like their version of the FBI. They have the local police. They have everybody on it. They plastered all the jewels that were missing all over international news and everything. If I was trying to save face, let's say I was head of museum security and I was trying to save face, I would come out to the public immediately after the robbery and be like, y'all, that was Banksy. Y'all know Banksy played too much. But this is where I wish that they had done a better job of being creative, being inventive, you know? You've just been robbed, one of the boldest robberies that we've seen. And you are the most visited museum in the world. Why don't you just see this as a W? You know what I mean? Instead of freaking out and shutting down the whole wing and staying closed for a day, all you gotta do is put that tape around the crime scene and make that an exhibit. We all want to see it. Bring people in. Make the security guards that did do their job, the tour guides, just be like, it was 4 of them. They ran up in here. I was like, hey, get out of here. And they were like, ving, ving, ving. I was like, you right. All right, I'm gonna go. But I'm telling everybody, and that's why I'm telling you now. And yeah, you can see the glass right here. Take a piece of glass home. You can take a piece of glass home if you want. The jewels used to be right there. That's crazy, right? Jewels used to be just like, and the light used to hit it like that, but then they brought the grinder and so. But they were real. That's why I'm doing this now, or else I'd be fired. Oh, it sucks. It does. It sucks because, like, it's just gonna turn museum security into TSA. Yeah, I mean, because look, this was, as far as museum security goes, this was their 9/11. So if you think you're just gonna roll up in there and have a good time, that's not what's gonna happen. You're gonna show up and they're gonna be like, all right, shoes off. They all gonna have the wand now. No, brutal stuff. You gonna walk into your local museum. You're not even in France. But there's gonna be that security guard takes his job extra serious and be like, you're not gonna get me, not today. Pants down, pants down. No, I got a check. You could have anything in there. You could have an angle grinder in your pants or something. You know, we have some very expensive cups here. I love a tour guide at a museum because then they'll tell you how expensive something is. And at least with the pottery, maybe this is me not being cultured, but some of the pottery that's in museums, and then they'll tell the story of how the pottery got to the museum, and then they'll be like, you know, this is worth easily $100,000. And I'll be like, nah, it's not. It's not. Like, it isn't. Like, it is not. As much as it is here, it is not worth that. Like the function of is, like it is here, like it exists, like it is. It is here. And it is not worth that. And you know how it's not? I know it's not worth that. I know it's not worth that. Because you had to tell me how much it was, because I thought it was worth nothing. I thought y'all dug it up and brought it here because y'all were like, this was just in the ground. Isn't that interesting? I bet you people aren't leaning over the register at the gift shop being like, how much was that clay cup? I only have 50,000 on me. Dang. I would have loved that clay cup that looked like a caveman did it. Because I need to be clear here. I'm not just trying to be rude. The one that I'm talking about, it wasn't like some beautiful African art. It wasn't like a Greek pot or something that was painted with a story on it. It just looked lumpy. It just looked lumpy to the point where I was like, even when they drank out of this, there's no way they got the water on a consistent basis. You could tell it's primitive because it looked like a cup that gulps. Looked like it pours when it wants to. Lip of it all uneven and everything. This is $100,000. I'm like, all right. You sure you didn't look at it too fast and add 2 extra zeros? Because I don't think so. There was a guy. There was really a rich guy apparently. I don't know him, but everybody was saying how rich he was. And he got on the Instagram to actually physically cry about the crown jewels being stolen. And he gave this whole speech about how like the robbers, because there's this assumption that the robbers aren't gonna be able to just sell the jewels they stole as is. There are plenty of people in the world that would pay the money it would take to sell them just as is, and maybe they just keep it and only they know they have it. But art collectors usually like to show off their collection, and so they can't tell anybody. So it's better just go ahead and maybe melt it down, sell the jewels. The jewels themselves are still very expensive. In fact, you'll see where throughout history pieces have been stolen. Mona Lisa was stolen before. Pieces sometimes get stolen, but unless you can sell it to someone, what's it really worth? And so there's speculation that already these jewels have been melted down and being sold for parts, or maybe pieces are being sold that might not be able to be traced back to the complete set. And this guy got on social and he was just crying. Dude had to be in his like 50s, something like that, and he was like, it was that crying where, okay, you know, it was like the crying you do when you're little, but you let yourself do it again when you get grown if something gets to you enough. Which is crazy because he went online to cry, but then was fighting the crying. But he's fighting the crying to camera. But then just don't turn the camera on yet. Like if you let it out real quick and then do your video. You doing the video, like no one putting the video in your face right now. You doing the video and you wait, just wait. No one asked for this video. You could wait a day. You could wait till you're over it, or you could just not do it. But this dude got some people just cry like they choking, and it's just. And then he said a bunch of stuff, and he did say it in French, and I don't speak French, so I'm gonna paraphrase from what everybody said he was saying. But I know he said some of this because a lot of people said he said it, and then I know there's some of it that might be like editorialized on what he said because I don't know if he said that because I don't speak any French. But and then also he didn't even say what he said in French well because he was crying through the whole thing. Like. And look, to be fair, maybe some of that was crying and maybe a little bit of that was the accent. Maybe some of that was the accent, because there are certain people that when they speak French, they do seem upset for no reason. So then that's, it's like that, was that a cry or was that one? Were you saying one just now? Were you like, ooh, or is that you trying to hold it together? Because that's why you should have waited to make the video. That's a cry. That was not French. That one. And what this dude basically said was that you didn't just steal from the Louvre. You stole from the French people. You stole a piece of our heritage. You stole a piece of our history. And if you melt that down, if you repurpose that, if you sell that, you will burn in hell because you have stolen from the people. And I'm sure, I'm almost positive, I don't know everyone who's seen the video, I just know that I saw it, but I'm sure if you saw that video and you were from Africa or Brazil or just anywhere, I'm sure you watched it and you were like, oh no. Someone stole a piece of your heritage? What are you gonna do? Someone in Sri Lanka is like, not France. What are you gonna do? And look, I can understand if you are from some of those other countries, if you're from like an African country or something like that, if you're from Haiti, you see this thing, that you might be like, oh no, not the Louvre. They have our stuff too. Did they steal our stuff? Now it's gonna be harder to find, because that's also what was there. So now, oh no. Someone stole it, you know? I just love the story so much. I love the robbers. Cause look, because they even showed up. They weren't just dressed in a construction outfit. They had on the, you know what I mean, the thing, mask and top and bottom. You know, they were wearing the baklava. I don't know, I love this crime so much because it feels a lot like, it feels a lot like somebody that runs a trap house robbing a stash house, and then the person from the stash house is like, we gotta call the police. I can't believe somebody would steal from us. This is unacceptable behavior. We stole all this stuff fair and square. This was ours. And then they took it from us in an act of injustice. Stanford, y'all have been amazing. Thank you so much. I appreciate y'all. I hope you have a phenomenal time. It's awesome to be here with you in Calgary. I appreciate y'all so much. It's really great to be here in Canada to get a break. Because when you live in the U.S., you like live there, and it's like all the time. Like you there like every day. Like unless you travel, you there every day. It's all happening all the time. You have the notification on your phone. It's bad. It's every day you wake up, you're like, oh, again. No, it's rough. It's not the best time. It is not great right now. You know, and I'm impressed by you all because you all keep up with your news and our news. Like you know what's going on here, you know what's going on where we are and stuff, and yeah, I know that you're probably concerned because you read the news and it's close. But trust, we are more concerned because when I was a kid, this kid, I was just call him Laquan because rhymes with his name. But I always wanted to be really good at like climbing a tree. Like when I was reading stories growing up, some of my favorite characters were like very outdoorsy and they could climb trees real fast and everything. Maybe that'd be half the story was climbing the tree. And I just didn't have the grip. Out of fear of heights, I would just slide down. I didn't have it like that, but Laquan was fast, was like, up here, and just knew like where to put the foot to get the hand, to just had like an awareness of everywhere that his body was, and he was able to get really high. And then one day I was seeing a neighbor. The neighbor was like, "Did you hear about Laquan?" I was like, no, I didn't hear what happened. He was like, "Oh, he fell out of the tree, and basically he got really high, but then a branch snapped, and so he had fallen, and then he bounced a couple times, and then he bounced between branches and just kind of hit you ever played pinball? He basically did that all the way down to where the actual final landing was pretty soft, because every branch before that really broke his fall from what would have been a dangerous fall was now more of a plop with several lumps all over his body, right? And hearing that story was like painful, because the kid that was telling me about it was there, so he was describing it in great detail. He was like, and then he was like, boom, and then he was like, boom, and then there was one branch he hit, he was like, oh! Boom, 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 boom. And hearing it was like jarring, I can only imagine what it would have been like to be Laquan falling out of the tree. And that's what it's kind of like to be in the US, as you hear. Boom, boom, ow! Boom, boom, boom. Oh! Boom. Because I try when I go to different places to read a little bit of their news. I have to admit to you that I am not like so internationally minded all the time that I'm reading everybody's news all the time. I'm mostly focused on the news where I'm at. But in preparation, coming to Canada, I've been coming to Canada off and on for the past 2 weeks, and I've been reading news of the places that I've been going to, and let me just say, truly, it has been so sweet. It has been fundamentally adorable to read and watch your news delivered with such earnestness, as if these are real emergencies. They're not, I guarantee they're not. To just, the way, okay. Even today, I went to Montreal, I went to Ottawa, Calgary, and I was in Ottawa, and just watching some local news, reading an article, and it was like a man was pulled over speeding. I mean, where are you off to in such a hurry, buddy? Is the car not enough? Is the vehicle not enough? You have to punch it. Maybe you should have left earlier, all right? Maybe think about that. Think about your own safety of others, Speeding. Now, look at yourself. Got yourself pulled over, now you're late, all right? A man today was pulled over speeding, and when the police pulled him over, it turns out he had drugs in his vehicle. I just think about the parents, I think about Sure, he was 45, but where did this start? Oh, something must be going on at home, you know? Because marijuana is legal. He had drugs. He had narcotics. You see that news and you're like, oh, that's adorable. No. Meanwhile, you'll turn on the news, living in the States, and they'll just be, man in Kentucky found dead, just legs. We don't know where. We have no idea what happened to the top half. It is just legs. We're assuming it's a man. These could be any legs, really. We just sort of said man because of the size of the shoes, but while we're at it, let's just be on the lookout for anyone. If you see any top halves missing a bottom half, please call this hotline. No. You see it. You see it all around. Even here, you know, come here, turn on the news, maybe read some news, and you see people angry, distraught. They're Canadians in Calgary, furious, right? Interviewing them. And they're like, I can't believe that our city, I can't believe that the province would put a sign right here. A sign right here, like a sign right here. I've parked here for years. What are they thinking? This is what happens when you lose connection to the people, all right? Meanwhile, in the U.S., Trump is trying to defund Elmo. I didn't do it. No, it's up for everybody. Bert, Ernie, Cookie Monster, anybody can get it. Nobody's safe. And so you see, when you come here and you get a break, you know, you see people like upset about something, but it's not like an umbrella of an issue. It's just their issue. You know what I mean? There's just something going on with them personally. That's refreshing. It really is. As small or as big as the personal problem is, it's nice, you know? It's nice to be able to talk to someone and get a sense of what's wrong with them. They're not having a good day. They're not happy, very angry or upset, but you're getting something from them that isn't this thing that it feels like no one can do anything about, you know? You know, like, met a man in Montreal, and we just casually started chatting, and he seemed like something was wrong, and I don't know what led me to do it, but I was just like, are you, like, how's your day going, you know? And he was like, she left. Meanwhile, in the U.S., if you ask someone how their day is going, depending on who you ask, depending on the state or city, you're gonna get a very different answer. But a lot of the people that I've asked, hey, how's your day going? Maybe I'm just at a store. They're ringing me up. I'm like, how's your day going today? And then they're like, oh, you didn't hear? You didn't hear? He's outlawing reading. It's over. No, it's rough because then, you know, we have Trump wins. I know y'all saw. And then he's talking wild. He's like, Canada's gonna be the 51st state, right? I didn't say it. I do think, though, that one of the reasons, even the dog, even the dog, dogs don't even have an understanding of like geographical boundaries or borders, and even the dog. That's wow. Did y'all do that on purpose? I know you've been booing every time somebody says 51st state. Did you teach the dogs to also? I think one of the things that did happen with that is that he said it in a way that was so glib and was so dismissive of not just Canada's like autonomy, but also he didn't even try to woo you. And I think it's because it's a hard sell. You know what I mean? You're telling me you don't want to be part of the United States, you don't want to get shot for free? No, in the U.S., let me tell you something. In the U.S., the United States of America, you get shot for free. You only have to pay to take the bullet out. You don't want to have the health care you have now, but not, you don't want no, you don't want your 12-year-old to read at a 12-month-old level. Why? You know, I look around, I ask, why? You don't want to pay thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars to an insurance company that will act like they don't know you when you call to fulfill your claim. Come on. You know, you don't want to make the only food you can afford, food that you kind of don't even question what meat it is after a while. All right. To each their own. You know, because look, it is a tough sell to be the 51st. I don't think that it would really work. One, because of the things that we're used to. You know, just in government alone, you have a parliamentary process. We have Congress, right? You have several parties. You have lots of parties to choose from. I say lots because we have two. So even three would be like, wow! You know, like more and more of the U.S. when you travel, it just feels like it just feels like as someone from the States, when I go to other places and I'm learning whether it's their culture, different processes of government or just customs or something, I always come off like I'm not used to anything. Like they took me on a date and I got to the table and I was like, salt and pepper. Because that's what I'm used to. That's the totality of the spice rack of American politics. You get your salt and you get your pepper. Meanwhile, y'all have paprika. You know, I'm not saying it's perfect. You know, you have these like 5 parties, only 3 are probably ever gonna win, but you get these like choices, these different pushes, you know. In the US, oof. We got Republicans, we got Democrats, and we got like Jill Stein. Like I've been learning about your parties. I really didn't realize how much deeper it went as far as like the seats and the majority, and that no confidence vote is a pretty big thing. That's crazy. A no confidence vote. Okay. Look, because I found out about no confidence, and I was blown away. So basically, I know you live here. I'm not telling you what it is. I'm telling you how I found out what it was, right? Okay. So with the no confidence vote, which is basically, if I have it right, it's when you have your like leadership party in power, but everybody is like, they're bad. Like, this is horrible. I don't even know if they know what they're doing. And then you talk to them in interviews and they're like, look, we don't know, but we gonna figure it out. And so then you have no confidence in them. So then, they get pushed to a no confidence vote. They get that no confidence vote. Then, you have to rejig the government. Basically have to be like, all right, y'all are not it. Let's get somebody who is it, right? And that, as like someone from the States, that blows my mind. That you can just not have confidence. That you cannot have confidence in your leadership and you don't have to wait. Because trust me, it's not just this election. There have been plenty of elections throughout my entire life where people voted, somebody won, and the confidence dwindled within about 6 weeks. And then we were like, oh, in 3 years and some change, you're gonna find out how we the people feel. I hope you're ready for that. No, I don't think you can get people who are a part of a system that has like a parliamentary process that has no confidence votes and then give them what we have in the US. I don't know if that would go well to be like, no, I know we voted for him, but that was a different time, and we didn't know that he was out of his mind. We didn't know that he was completely. When he was talking, when he was running, all the brains seemed like they were in the head. And so people were like, I like what he said. I think, yeah. And then he won, and then we realized that the brains were gone. And now we have no confidence, and we should do something about that presently, right? Before there's no food on the shelves. A lack of choice was how I knew I was broke. Yeah, I mean, when I was like out on my own for the first time, I had a choice between these two types of cereals I could afford. One was like a little corn pop thing. Whatever it was the only ingredient was high fructose corn syrup. And then there was this other cereal that was like, okay, I'm positive it was for people. I'm 100% positive it was for people, but it was built like dog food. Okay. It just had a very pellety look to it. It had when you poured it, it had the brrr of like pellet. Didn't help it also went in a bowl, right? And that was what I did back and forth because I was broke. And I just had these two choices. I could just go from one to the other, and one got me real like jittery and excited, and I usually crashed by like 2 p.m. And then the other one definitely felt like I should be barking if I'm eating it. Then I got a little bit of money in my pocket. Ooh, I got spoiled for choice. Then I didn't even know what to do. I'd buy some cereal and I'd be like, it's good, but it's not the best. It's fine. Completely forgetting it could have just been these two. That's what it feels like. Look outside looking in, that you have like a whole parliamentary process. I'm not saying it's perfect. I'm sure you have your problems. I get that. You don't tell anybody, but I'm positive that you have your own problems. I get it. And I understand people's frustration. I know that there's been strikes in Canada. I know that there are people that are worried about housing. A lot of the same things that people are worried about in other countries. It's not as if I'm projecting some like absolute absolute heaven and haven onto you. I know that it's a country full of people and people have problems. It's just we have more. It's a lot. Yeah, I mean, it's a lot. And I don't think that it would work, you know, because even with a prime minister versus a president, your prime minister still fits in that legislative branch, you know. There's a lot of things reining your prime minister in, no matter who they are. And a president we're coming to realize by accident, is a king. That's a king. We thought we left, and we really did. We were like, we don't want a king. Get out of here, Britain. And Britain was like, all right, give it a couple hundred years. You'll want one of us. Now, because we have this different branch, this executive branch where the president's power resides, that is deciding to not really pay attention to or heed our legislative or judicial branch, you know, because it's really the legislative branch that's supposed to decide if we defund Elmo. That's really their purview. But he was like, no, I'm the only one that gets to look like this. You most recently had a decision to make. You most recently had an election. And, you know, I was here before the election, now I'm here after the election, and I was never gonna tell anybody what to do. I did, while I was in Montreal and Ottawa, tell people to just like look across the fence. Just check if you like that. You know, because they always say that the grass is greener, but sometimes your neighbor doesn't have grass. Sometimes it's just a Buick on blocks. And that is tough. You know, because then our news would become your news. Because look, don't be wrong, like I said, I'm fully aware, and I also believe I'm open to the ideas that Canada has problems I'm not even aware of, right? Like there's a chance, I'm imagining, right? If you're in the right place at the right time for this bad thing to happen, if you go out into one of your beautiful parks and you where you're not supposed to be, you playing around, it's possible to get bit by a moose. Right? It's not all roses and bubbles over here. You can really get got over in Canada, right? You could get bit by a moose if you put yourself in that situation. You really stay in those neighborhoods, you know what I mean? If you're really trying to live that lifestyle, you know? That's what comes with it. But trust me when I tell you, you're not ready for daily U.S. news. Sure, you could get bit by a moose here, but just the other day, a man used an alligator to rob a liquor store. Which is one of the more effective robberies you can engage in, right? No, because you walk in to a liquor store, I'm assuming to buy some alcohol, make a night of it, you know? And then there are people in the US that are desperate. You know, desperate because we don't share the same social safety nets, we don't even share some of the same attitudes around a network of community the way that Canadians do as a baseline. I know not everybody agrees, and you have your conservatives, your liberals and everything, but for the most part, there's a genuine understanding that like, okay, healthcare, we're gonna have that, we're gonna do our best with housing, we're gonna do our best with all these things, right? And in the US, it's mostly like, hey, get it how you live. And sometimes getting it how you live includes robbing a liquor store, going to where you know there will be cash, going there with an alligator that might be a pet. I have no idea. I truly don't know if this is a pet or if this is an alligator that he found, or if this is an alligator that he like going in on it with. He's like, look, if I get the cat, because look, I do like the idea of them being partners. I do like the idea of them getting together and being like, listen, all right, you like raw chicken, you like raw chicken thighs, okay? If I have cash, I can buy that stuff, I can give you some of that, so we'll split it in chicken thighs and cash. Cash to me, chicken thighs to you, just so that we're clear, right? So I'm gonna go in, I'm gonna pick you up like a puppy, right? But then I'm gonna grab the back of your tail, I'm gonna swing you around, right? And when I swing you around, I want you to be like, ah! Just really make a show of it, keep the mouth open, let them know what could happen if they don't act right? Because he didn't go in, this man did not walk in, hold it like a rifle, like anybody can get it. Hey, don't move. Right? No, this man came in, swinging gator at people, right? And people couldn't run out fast enough. Now, it was a mistake to start swinging it in the doorway, because you really only want the actual cashier to be intimidated. Now, you've made 8 people think, all right, it's all of us against him, the alligator. You have more adversaries than is necessary. Then he tried to get the cash and everything, but it's hard to get the cash because the alligator, he's not really thinking like a robber. Alligator was told to do his thing, so he doing his thing. Like that wiggle that they do, going as hard as he can, throwing hip, right? Like, alligators don't have booty, but if they did, he'd be twerking, right? Snapping and everything, which does make it hard to get the cash, right? Because now this cashier trying to put it all in his hand. This dude didn't have a bag. So now he just got to stuff cash in his pocket while holding on to the tail of the alligator. And the alligator, I don't know. I don't speak alligator, but I'm assuming the alligator is like, is this part of it? Because after a while, the alligator is being more difficult than helpful, right? Stuffing, and then he runs out. They call the cops and everything. And look, I can't imagine what it's like to be a cop that gets the call that there's someone robbing a liquor store with an alligator. I'm sure those cops were like, couldn't it just be a gun? No, you're not ready for news like that. Because I'm sure, look, there's property crimes, there's violent crimes everywhere in the world. You have your crime. But it seems like, from what I've been reading about your crime, that it does, and I don't mean this in like an insensitive way, but it does seem like most of your crime kind of like makes sense. Like you get to the bottom of it, and it's like, oh, he wanted what he had, and so he stole it from him, right? The U.S. has a lot of weird crime because a lot of our resources have been shut down, right? So some of the crime is not necessarily just to do the crime, it's just people doing what they think is necessary in their head that happens to be a crime. Like, a good example was, there was a man who called the police because he broke into this restaurant, right? Broke into the restaurant, and I think he just wanted food. That's what I'm gathering from like the call. So he just wanted food. He called in to 911, and they were like, 911, what's your emergency, right? And he's telling them off top, look, okay, I'm not where I'm supposed to be. All right, I did break in here, get a little something to eat, make a little snack, all right? But somebody else is in here, and y'all need to come quickly. Like, I'm all for a little burglary, but somebody in here being weird. Like, y'all need to come for real. Oh, I'm scared. Oh, please come arrest me. Because this is my thing as well, is that Canada would only become the 51st state by legislation or by force. It's not going to happen by legislation, because even if the more conservative counterparts of your government really wanted it, the people have made clear that they don't want it, right? And so then there would be steps taken, there'd be no confidence, there'd be all these things to stop that thing from happening. And the one thing that I don't think people are counting on is, even if there was an attempt to do it by force, people think that Canadians don't fight. But your favorite sport, your favorite sport in the world, you have access to all the sports. You have access to all the sports. I understand it gets very cold here, but the one that you picked was the one where a fight could break out at any time. And not just like break out. Like sometimes there's a reason. Sometimes there's a clear, I don't really follow hockey because mainly I can't see it. I want to follow it so bad. Everybody seems like they're having a good time, but every time I've watched hockey, I've had to pretend that I know what's happening. You know what I mean? It's like being tone deaf watching like a singing show, like a singing competition, like watching X Factor tone deaf, and then you're just waiting for other people to cheer, so you're like, oh, they getting it. No. Yeah. Actually, no, you're right. They bad. No. Anytime I've watched hockey, I've just seen the people's heads move. I've tried to move my head where their head moves, and I tried to look at where I think they're looking at and everything. And then you hear the clicking and the clacking of the sticks and stuff. And sometimes it'll click clack extra, so I'm like, oh, the puck must be over there, but it's not. It's not at all. It's actually over here. I don't know what they're doing over there. And then somebody will be rammed into a wall, a clear wall, so you can see. I've never seen only in hockey and adult films have I seen somebody pressed up against glass like this. The way they... Wow. That, I remember the first time I saw it, I was like, ooh, y'all think he gonna come through? No, and then you have the fights. And the fights are very interesting to me. Truly, because it's like, there's a strange energy to the fights. No, you never really know when they're gonna pop off, and sometimes there's a backstory. Sometimes it's like, oh, look, 3 games ago, you don't just have fights, you have drama with the fights. You have a real soap opera to follow. And then you see them and those gloves off. I remember the first time I saw it, they threw the gloves off and I was like, ooh, won't your hands get cold? And then they go swinging each other. And then what I really love is they grab the jersey for leverage. Missing, horribly, missing, nothing but missing, and really try to get close. Come here. Missing. But every once in a while, you get somebody with incredible balance and hand-eye coordination. They throw those gloves off, they grab them. You would think they weren't on skates. They swinging around and sliding, but they're still like... It's incredible. Anytime, anybody can get it. Incredible stuff. People really believe that Canadians don't fight, that they don't have fight in them. We didn't know you had booze, you know? But I knew because a while back, I saw a news story that took place in Canada, you know, trying to be international. And I saw this news story about a man who was woken up in the night when two burglars broke into his home and were trying to figure out what they could take. They clearly hadn't done a good job casing his residence. So they're just looking for whatever, right? And then he wakes up, and let me first say this. If someone breaks into my home and is looking for what to steal, I don't know if I'm gonna confront them immediately. I think I might try to come up with a plan. You know, maybe I'll pretend I'm a ghost. They break in, I go to the closet that's closest to a vent. I'm like, ooh, spirits live here, ooh, y'all better stop, ooh, you gonna have to return it or something, like, ooh, you gonna be haunted, ooh, you don't wanna be haunted, I don't care how big you are, you can't fight haunted. Everything in here cursed. You don't want those problems. You know? Maybe that doesn't work. Maybe they're not afraid of ghosts. Maybe they don't believe in ghosts. Maybe they know it's me. Plan B. I'm act like a bigger man. They haven't seen me yet. You know? Lean around the corner.
Hey, don't make me put my killing shoes on. Yeah, you lucky I don't have my shoes on, right? Because if I put my shoes, ooh, everybody dying in here.
Because that's plan C. To act like my own dog. No. Lean into my phone, make a recording, put on the ground, slide it down after I hit play. That way they think it's behind them. I'm probably gonna cough. Trying to bark makes me cough. And then, last resort, yeah, might have to fight them. No, I have to just run up on them and do what men do. I have to roll up on them real quick and start biting as hard as I can. Yeah, please believe you're gonna wish it was a dog when I get done, all right? I brushed and I flossed tonight, so get ready. No, but these dudes, they broke into this guy's home and they had ski masks on, and I don't know about you, but if somebody already got the ski mask on, it just makes me feel like they're a professional criminal. Do you know what I mean? Like, you got the ski mask on already. I'm like, this is real crime we're dealing with right now. And this dude doesn't hesitate at all. And all he got on is his shorts, by the way. He just like shorts, no shirt, anything. And he starts pushing them up against the wall and he starts fighting both of them and really swinging. And they're swinging at him and he's taking some hits, but he's giving a lot. Just bow, 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 bow. He's like fight juggling them. Because he'll hit one and that one will fall, and then he gets to concentrate on this one for a second. Bow, 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 and then this one gets up. He's like, you get some too. Bow, right? And then their fight, he puts up a real fight to the point where at first they're ganging up on him. And then they're both like, look, I don't know how nice this apartment is. Maybe nothing in here is worth these lumps we're catching. And so then they try to leave. But he does keep punching them. As they're trying to leave, he does just keep whooping ass as they're clearly turned around trying to exit now. He like trying to choke one from behind and kick the other one. And then they run out. They run out of his home. He successfully defended his castle. But then he does also leave. So then he left. I was like, uh-oh. And then you just see in the security camera in his garage, him drag one of them back in. And I was like, Normally, in the U.S., there's a sentiment around this sort of thing. Like, there's warnings. It's like, there's yard signs. Don't come unless you're armed. Blah blah blah. Like, there's a very frenzied passion. There's a fever dream in the U.S. of legally being able to kill someone that comes into your home. We like it a lot. There are some people that are like, please break in. I want to kill you, right? And that is almost always so that the person who wants to do the killing can use a gun. They want to shoot someone. They want to be able to shoot someone. And this man, this Canadian, he didn't have a gun. He desperately wanted to use these hands. He brought them back into I don't even know what crime this is now. Like, this was burglary, and it has turned kidnapping, I think. I don't know if it can still be self-defense if you dragging him back in. And dragging him by the top of the ski mask too, so he over here kicking, fighting going backwards, right? And so then he brings that dude back in, punching, closes the door. This dude trying to get up against the door. He throws him back down and locks the door. And I was like, y'all done accidentally broke into the devil's house. That's crazy. And I think he had one of those things where instead of a key, it was like a combination thing. So as soon as you put in the combination, the lock will start to turn, because that's what's happening. Because now the dude who was the second burglar, he must have been running and realized nobody was behind him. So then he comes back and he trying to get in, and then this dude just keep relocking it, right? So then finally, this dude just manages to get the ski mask off the guy, so now we see his face. Now his face is on the camera and everything. But then, I don't know how well this burglar could fight. It didn't seem like well at all. But he does finally create like a little butterfly situation with his legs, which destabilizes the homeowner. So that guy falls to the ground. Then he goes for his own takedown on the burglar, but the burglar swings down, sits, and just has him in like a headlock, but not a headlock that's like effective. It looks like a headlock just so he can catch a break. So when you see Trump talk about like a 51st state, I feel like if I worked at the White House, I would just bring an iPad at, like, Mr. President, this is what they do. I've been watching the Olympics, and I've been enjoying myself because it has exposed me to a bunch of sports I don't normally watch, right? Like, I watched a lot of women's rugby, right? I had never, it just came on while I was, while I was sitting there, and then I was like, oh, I'll give it a shot. Now I don't really know the rules to rugby, right? All I know is if you get tackled, you're supposed to throw the ball like back when you pass it so then they can try to get further than you got and everything. And there was this one woman who was running with the ball, and a woman from another team went to tackle her, right? And rather than falling like gravity would dictate, she just picked up the woman tackling her and ran with her and the ball. And I was like, I don't know how to play. I don't know how to play. I don't know the rules, but is that legal? Can you do that? No. And then there was the guy. I didn't know shooting was part of the Olympics. But there was this dude that showed up that really looked like he wasn't in the sport, because everybody else had like, I don't know if y'all read comic books, but everybody else had like dead shot gear on, like just they adjusted it and then lean in and then they lean back and stuff, and then they take the shot and stuff. And this dude was just walking up, no expression. Boom, boom, silver medal. Imagine how mad you would be if you went ahead and you got all the gear, you got all the glasses, the goggles that tilt and stuff, the little binocular thing with the red dot sight in it and everything, and then you still watching him over here just boom, boom, silver medal. That's a dangerous one to just be so good at off of talent, because then your competitors are like, we're going to have to shoot them. We're going to have to, one of us has to do it, right? One of us I'll bump into you while it's your turn. You just be like, oops. And then you had, you had Team USA in the men's basketball winning gold today. Just through and through. You had LeBron and Curry just serving up moments, right? Just little leans back, boom, draining it, everything, killing it like we're supposed to, because basketball, that's our thing. We should be killing them. In basketball, I don't even want the games to be close. It's exciting when they're close, because then you pull it out and then you're like, yeah, I was so annoying. I was a real, like, an American as a stereotype when Team USA men's basketball was playing. I was like, yeah, get up. Yeah, like I'm on the team. Like I'm one of the coaches. Just, get up. But because we did so well in the men's basketball, it makes it even more perplexing that we did so poorly in the men's 3-on-3 basketball. How did, there's so much talent. The literal NBA is here. I understand everybody can't be on Team USA, and I don't know if it's a pride thing, like maybe you just don't want to be on the 3-on-3 if you're not in like the proper Team USA, but that's a shorter, that's half court. You just run back and forth. That's an easier path to a gold medal, and they just didn't want it. There's not an NBA player on the team, to my knowledge. It's just 3 dudes that I think are my age. Like, just, that shouldn't even be allowed. That's very frustrating to watch us play and struggle at basketball. I don't care if it's 3-on-3. I don't care if it's 1-on-1. We should be dominating. Do you know what it's like to sit there as an American and watch the men's 3-on-3 basketball team struggle against Latvia? You couldn't have pulled 3 superstars or something. I gotta sit here, we getting dunked on. This is gonna be the most out of pocket that I speak the entire show, but I was watching it furious. I really was. Because as an American, you sit there watching yourself get beat by a country whose GDP doesn't match Texas. And it make you, like, you sitting there watching us just slowly lose and stuff, and it make you want to go to war. You want to, a part of you's like, let's pay them a visit then, if they think they so cute. We've started wars for less. Come on. Don't worry, we didn't put it in the history book. Oh, no, I'm just saying. Like, this is my thing. Even when a game is over, whether you're watching an NBA game, an NCAA game, or just, you know, like some footage from a documentary where, you know, they're doing some exhibition game or something. When you go up to a professional basketball player, you go up to these professional athletes, and you see these sports journalists run up to them with the mic. How do you feel like the game went? And they put the mic in their face, and then they're just standing there sweating because they just got done playing the game, but they're like, we did some passing, and we did a little bit of shooting. We should have done more shooting than passing, but we did as much. They always sound like they're failing a pop quiz about basketball when they get asked the questions about the game they just had. You were there. Why are you umming? And then we plan to do a little bit more dribbling next time, and then we're gonna dribble, and then we're gonna pass, and then we'll shoot, and we'll get more of those in next time, and then that will result in more points, and then we will have more points than the other team when we get done. So the result today won't be the result tomorrow, right? And that's all well and good because they're standing there, and even though they're pouring sweat and they're breathing hard, they're standing up straight, and they just got done playing at the highest level, okay? What I don't like is things like what I might even be wrong. Maybe this isn't the interview I saw, but I could have sworn that after one of the members of the team on 3-on-3 was asked some questions after, and in my opinion, I know I'm not playing and he is, but he looked a little too tired for my liking, right? I'm not gonna let you be tired and lose, right? Like that's unacceptable, you know what I mean? Like he up there getting interviewed looking like me, like just like yeah, they were good. They were pretty good. No, if you're gonna represent me in the Olympics, right? I need you to play better than I can play. If you're gonna represent me in the Olympics, I need you to be a LeBron, a Curry. Make me believe in myself, right? Don't just have me sitting there watching the TV like, that's what I do. Like, I could've. They had breakdancing for the first time ever. All right. Look. So they had breakdancing as an Olympic event for the first time. Which, here's the thing. We do need to take a step back for a second and go back to the invention of breakdancing. Breakdancing is something that comes truly from like nothing. Just kids and a piece of cardboard on the pavement and imagination, right? And it created an entire genre of dance that splintered off and made other genres of dance since. So I think that it's an incredible thing that you have to take stock of, that something that just started with a few people has become this thing that's blown up around the world to the point where it makes it to the Olympics, to the world stage, right? But I was watching, and I was like, maybe we need to keep some things a secret, right? Like maybe we don't have to tell everybody some of the stuff that we do, you know what I mean? Because I want to be clear here. There were plenty of very good break dancers, all right? But a lot of them were overshadowed by people whose movement was questionable, all right? You know, because there were a couple people where you see them dancing and you're like, to call it a routine feels like you planned this, and I don't think you did. I think you're making it up as you go. I think that you woke up and you were like, oh, today? Like, I think that's the way you dancing right now. It's not the dance of someone who prepared. Like, there was an Australian dancer. Okay, look. She was dancing, and I'm not gonna act like I know how to break dance. I'm also not gonna act like I have great movement myself. Most of my stories are when I could have had better joints, all right? So I'm not trying to act like, oh, I knew it or whatever, but I will say, as soon as I saw her, and she was dressed like she was from Squid Game, that's when I was like, I don't know if you're taking this serious. I don't know what's about to happen right now. And okay, so she starts dancing. So she started dancing, and they had interviewed her before the Olympics, right? Before she ever went to Paris. And I think they interviewed her after her performance. And I think both times she said that all of her moves she invented, right? Which I believe. I do believe that. I think that that's true. That's just a fact. And she's dancing, and like, when you're watching it, okay, there are some traditional moves that you see in breakdancing. A lot of them are like moves that lead to spins, right? So someone will just have their hand on the ground, but then they'll be going up with their leg, and it's all to build the momentum to twist and then to spin on their head or to spin on their hands or something. And she kept almost doing it. Like, there were plenty of times where she was like, I was like, she about to go, and then, do you know what I mean? Like, she would stay on the ground in a way that wasn't satisfying, right? Because even in breakdancing, sometimes you just see straight up backflips, right? And there was a backflip she did, but she did stay on the ground the whole time. Like, it was a backflip, but like she maintained contact with the ground at all points. And as I was watching it, I'm like, look, I'm also coming to this as someone who's watched a lot of breakdancing but doesn't know what the rules are for the Olympics. Maybe you're just supposed to hit poses, and she's hitting the poses and she's racking up poses. I have no idea. So I'm watching, and I'm watching for the judges. I'm watching for the crowd, right? And there was one dude that I like really zeroed in on. It was a black dude with some dreads. And he was doing the thing that as black people we do. Right? When someone is doing their best, and when someone is like trying to participate, right? I don't care where you are. We give people a chance. We really do. Whether it's somebody who's trying to rap real quick, whether it's somebody beatboxing, somebody dancing. As black people, you can see it in videos around the world. We always give 2 free nods, right? We always give 2 free initial nods because you're getting into it. We don't know what you're about to do. You might surprise us, right? So there's 2 free nods that everybody gets, no matter who you are. And there was a guy in the background when she started, and she was really doing the, you know what I mean? Like she looked like she was about to get ready, right? And there was a black dude in the background that was like, You know, because that third nod, you gotta be careful. That third nod is a cosign, right? Like that third nod means I love what I'm seeing, right? And he pulled out just before. There are moves that are staples of breakdancing. Like one of them, I mean, I can't do it, but one of them is when a dancer puts their hand on the ground and then they put their full weight on their elbow and they either do a pose or they spin. You see that a lot. You see that on any breakdancing that you watch on Instagram, TikTok, any of that. It's like a real staple move. And at one point she went to do it, right? But as far as like being on the elbow, she was like, I got something different for y'all. I'm gonna switch it up real quick, right? And so instead of posting up on her elbow, she just kind of laid on it, right? And even when I saw her land, I was like, she getting ready to do something. She getting ready. Y'all give her space, She getting ready, right? And then she spun, but she did it on her own time. You know what I mean? Like it wasn't like a fast spin or a flying spin. It was more like, we gonna get there, right? Like we gonna get there eventually, okay? I was truly taken aback. I was like, what is happening? You know? Because as a country, you have to pick a representative, right? You can't just be like, hey, as far as the I'll go. I'll take the flight. There was a competition, and you have to qualify to make it to the Olympics, which made me wonder, who did she beat to... You know what I mean? Like, everybody clowning her and everything, but she's the best. Do you know what I mean? She getting a lot of extra undeserved hate because she won her place to get here, right? So then I want to know what happened at the competition to compete with the judges were like, we can't send you. It's all you. This is rough. That's rough stuff. Because this is, to be fair, she did get a lot of hate for this, and just in case anybody doesn't understand, to be fair, a lot of the spirit of breakdance is competition, right? It's usually one or two, people hopping in and out of the general circle where we're all watching. Sometimes it could be 3, 4, right? And one of the things that I watched happen in the men's, like it was, I think, the US versus Japan, right? Is that even though they were in competition, when the other person was in the circle, like doing moves, because Japan and the US were killing it, right? Like lots of spins, lots of like fun stuff, cool stuff I hadn't seen before. And anytime the other person was in, their opponent would still be like, oh, because it's a sport of energy, right? It's a sport of fun, right? And when she started, her opponent was kind of like, okay, all right, okay. Yeah, I get it. And after a while, her opponent just sort of started walking. And then when she wasn't, this was kind of wild. It is part of it. So like, you can't hate on her for it because it's a thing that happens when people are breakdancing, compete against each other. But then her opponent was in there doing real moves. Because when I tell you she made up her own moves, she straight up, like, I've never. I've never in my life. She did the opposite of a Michael Jackson. She did. Oh man, Mike is moonwalking in his grave right now. But while her opponent was in there, you know, doing the real moves, she was walking back and forth and was going. Oh God, okay, all right. And so she danced, and the judges awarded her 0 points, and I didn't know that was possible. I didn't know. I thought you got at least a point for limbs, like. Also, oof, France has had some ups and downs, right? That poor pole vaulter. If you didn't see it, okay, basically, pole vaulting is a sport where you run up with a stick and then you put it into, like, what I'm assuming is the vault, right? And you stick it in there and then you keep going even though it's stuck in there and it bends, and then you ride it up the top and it lifts you. It looks like it shouldn't work. Every time I've watched pole vaulting, I'm like, how do they not snap off and fly off into another direction? Pole vaulting is physics, but it looks like it's against it, right? Like, I think that's why it's a sport, because every time you watch it, you're just mystified. You're like, how did he plan it to go back? It could have gone anywhere. And so, you know, you stick it in, and you bend and you fly up, and then there's a stick that you try to get over. And so you throw your body over the stick, and then you land and somehow live, right? Because that's the other thing about pole vaulting that I don't understand, is how no one dies every time, right? And so anyway, there's a French pole vaulter that was running with the stick, stuck it in, went backwards, and he's lifting up. And then when he gets about parallel with the bar, we notice on camera a different stick, right? Because there's always supposed to be 2 sticks. There's always the stick you gotta get over, and then you stick the U's to get over. But there was a 3rd stick at play that nobody could have foreseen, right? Because I don't know if this has ever happened in the history of people running up with a stick and sticking it in the thing and then going over. But he gets about level, and then, you know, if you knock over the stick, you're disqualified from that heat, right? Not that you can't go again. I just mean, like, you didn't do it. If you knock over the pole you're supposed to get over. And he knocked it over. He knocked it over with his stick, his pole, his vault of sorts was what lifted that stick off. And then you see them, and they are connected. There were some people that were saying actually his knee is what knocked it over, and I'm like, maybe it goes to his knee, but I saw what I saw. And so, you know, he didn't win a medal. But he won something else. Because we're all talking about it, and we're talking about it favorably. You know what I mean? Like, it's not even a knock on him as an athlete. I'm sure it's more impressive that he gets over sometimes with the stick he has to watch out for. He did his best and he did not come up short, all right? No. And I know he wanted the medal, but he got something even greater. He got everybody knowing that he had a big penis without him saying it. You know what I mean? Like, when you're a man and you have a big penis, it's something you got to keep secret that you just want to tell everybody. You know what I mean? Context. You just want to let the people know, right? I'm surprised more men don't just go, oops. I can't believe what just happened. Oh no, I knocked over a glass of water. How did I do it?